Hey guys, and welcome to If Naruto Was Raised by the Sage of Six Paths, Part 3. Where we last left off, Naruto had learned the Shadow Clone Jutsu, and he can make, in his mindscape, he can make about 5 clones. In the real world, he can do 2, which is still a lot for a ninja who is only at age 4. At least I would assume, anyway. I mean, he's not Itachi, so... But he learned that, and then Jiraiya actually taught Naruto the Gale Palm. So, this part is going to take place pretty much the next day. So the sage, Naruto went to bed, and the sage actually didn't do any interacting with him. Because, he wanted Naruto to rest. So, after Naruto wakes up, Kakashi is actually, he's there at the house. I'd say Jiraiya's probably still asleep. Just, resting a bit. So Naruto wakes up, and, he sees Kakashi. And he's like, hey, what's up, big bro? Because I know, Kakashi still kind of weirded out by it. He's like, you could just call me Kakashi. It's like, I'm not really your brother, but no, I'll live with it, I guess. And, Naruto says, so, what do we do when the old man, the old pervert is still asleep? Kakashi kind of laughs about that. And he says, I'm actually going to do some training with you today. Because Jiraiya had told me that due to what the sage has been teaching you, you have access to basically all the basic chakra elements. And Naruto says, I guess. So Kakashi laughs, says, alright, well, I know it's early in the morning, but let's go ahead and head to the training yard. And little Naruto does so. He's happy, he's got people with him, walking around with Kakashi. And, when they get there, and Naruto says, well, what are we going to be learning today? Kakashi tells him, well, I'm going to teach you how to use another element. We're going to learn fire. And Naruto's like, oh, well, okay. I learned the wind one with Jiraiya, so what jutsu am I going to learn? He says, first, Naruto, well, to make this easier, I want you to go ahead and make some shadow clones. And he's like, oh, yeah, because they make learning stuff easier. So Naruto does the shadow clones, and instead of 2, I'd say this time he gets, 3 shadow clones. It's like, oh, it's better than yesterday, but it's still not the 5 that I was able to do. And he's not really tired either from it. And Jiraiya, wow. I'm getting them mixed up. Kakashi tells him, alright, I'm going to teach you a basic fire type jutsu. It's actually the signature jutsu of the Uchiha clan. I believe you actually met 2 of them. It's like, oh yeah, it was Itachi and Sasuke. They seem really nice. They did help me after all. It's like, I was told about that. And I'm sorry that happened to you, Naruto. Naruto, he actually has a smile. He said, that's okay. It may not have been good that happened, but if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have met them. So it's just, 2 new friends. Because, they seemed really nice. Kakashi kind of taken aback about that. It's like, wow. I guess he knows how to turn something bad into something good. That's a good thing, at least. So, Kakashi tells him, so I'm going to be teaching you the fireball jutsu. I know someone your age, might not be able to, not even certain genin can learn fire, the fire nature, but I believe you could probably do it with the amount of chakra you have, and just because the fact that, for the most part, if you can use every single element like the sage said, this might actually be pretty easy for you. And he explains to Naruto about the fire chakra nature, and he shows Naruto the hand signs, and Kakashi goes, fireball jutsu, and he does it. Naruto is excited. He's like, alright, well, let's try it. So, him and every single one of the clones all together do the hand signs, and they say, fire style, fireball jutsu, and they're able to do it. I know Naruto is really young, but I mean, he technically has access to the Sage of Six Paths chakra, which is Sage chakra for the most part. And he has. I'm going to say that the Sage allows him to constantly pull from it. I guess not really pull from it, but the Sage chakra is kind of mixed in. The Sage of Six Paths chakra is mixed in with Naruto's chakra for the most part. It's not like the Nine-Tailed Fox chakra where he has to pull from something completely different, completely separate. This one, the Sage, also knowing Naruto's the reincarnation of one of his kids, made it to where his chakra is pretty much combined with Naruto's, so he has access to that chakra. And he does the fireball jutsu with relative ease, but it's a pretty small fireball. If Naruto's doing it by himself, it's a really small flame for the most part. We'll say the flames, I guess it could be about the same size, I guess, relative to Naruto, about the same size as Naruto, if that makes sense. Which, he's only 4, so it's still a small flame, but it's something. And if him and his 3 clones do it together, it's a pretty decent fireball. Naruto sees it and he goes, "Oh, well, that's nowhere near as big as the one you made." And Kakashi kind of laughs. It's like, "Be that as it may, you're not even a genin, and you are able to use fire-style jutsu. Naruto, you have... I just wanted to see if this, what Jiraiya said was true. So yeah, you have access to a change of chakra nature. You have wind and fire." And he thanks, and he pulls out a little piece of paper. Says, "Naruto, first off, get this little piece of paper, and we'll see what happens. Focus chakra into it." Naruto does so. I believe when the paper is sliced in half, it's the wind style. I can't remember if it's the chakra nature for the paper is if it wrinkles or if it gets split in half for the wind style. But we'll say whichever one it does for the wind, the wind chakra nature it does. But then afterwards it burns. Well, honestly, it's gonna do everything. Because he has access to all the chakra natures. But that was just Kakashi's way of making sure. So yeah, the paper, it wrinkles, it gets cut, it gets soggy, it turns to dust, and it even catches on fire. It does all of it. I don't know if they've explained what yin and yang would do to it, but I'm not too sure. I don't think so. And Kakashi's shocked. He's like, "Okay, this is great. Well, Naruto, have one of your clones keep working on the fire style. The fireball jutsu." It's like, "Oh, okay. Have one of your other clones keep working on the Gale Palm that Jiraiya taught you." So, "Okay, all right, I'll do that. Now, your other 2 clones, I'm going to teach you another elemental jutsu." It's like, "Oh, really?" "Okay, that's great." I actually wrote those down, but I don't have my little booklet with me. And he tells Naruto, "Follow these hand signs." And he does it. And then he says, "Earth style, earth bracers." And little pieces of, earth start, pretty much, he hits hang on. I'm trying to remember that one. We'll say little bits of earth end up going around Kakashi's wrists. And it's kind of like armor. Now, the earth bracer jutsu is an actual jutsu, which is just kind of like armor from like dirt and stuff. It's like, I think it's like a hardened dirt, mud, maybe, possibly. But it's a low ranking earth style jutsu. And Naruto sees that. He's like, "That's actually it's kind of cool. But what would that do?" And he tells him, "Well, Naruto, what this is, like I said, it is a low ranking jutsu, but it can help protect certain parts of your body for if you move it around. For instance, for someone like Kakashi, which I believe Kakashi can do it with ease, he does it, earth style, but instead of saying earth bracers, he says earth armor. I don't think this is a real jutsu. And if it is, hey, cool. But if not, more power to me, I guess." And he says, earth style, earth armor. And instead of it being the bracers, it's like all the the dirt and mud stuff goes around Kakashi and creates like an armor around him. Naruto thinks this is like amazing. Goes, well, that's so cool. So what is so it's like armor. Tells him, oh yes, earth armor. So this can be very useful in tight situations. But it comes from learning the earth bracers and for the most part using that on different parts of the body. So for instance, your knees, legs, shoulders. So I'm going to teach you how to use the earth bracers. So, do the hand signs that I showed you. Naruto does it, and earth says earth style earth bracers, and the earth, the dirt and stuff wraps around his arms. He can do that. So then after that, Kakashi says, "All right, have one of your other clones do that." So I think I said Naruto can do 3 clones. So now the third clone, no, yeah, the third clone is doing that. Okay, says, okay, so now what? And then he tells Naruto, we're gonna learn one more change in chakra nature, and if you're not too tired afterwards when you call your clones back, we'll go ahead and show you the other one. So he has fire, earth, and wind right now. The next one, Kakashi teach him, he does the hand signs and it says water style, water bullet jutsu. And, pretty much the water, I guess you could say he's just spitting the water out, but it's the water bullets. And he tells Naruto the same thing, try it out. And Naruto does it. Now these are, I think the water bullets is also a low ranking jutsu, I'm not too sure. But, and Kakashi being, Kakashi of the Sharingan, the copy ninja, it's access to over 1,000 jutsu. I assumed he would more, did I say Jiraiya? I hope I didn't say Jiraiya. If I did, I'm sorry. Kakashi of the Sharingan. And he has access to over 1,000 jutsu. I would assume he could do low-ranking, jutsu of other elements. So he shows Naruto the water bullets, and then Naruto says, well, I mean, the clone that we have learning, doing the Gale Palm, I'm pretty decent at it already, so wouldn't it be better just to have that one start doing that? And then I assume you also want to teach me how to use lightning. He kind of laughs. He's like, okay, well, you got me on that. I do want to teach you that. If you think you can do the Gale Palm just fine now, go ahead and have the other clone do it. So he tells the one Naruto clone that's doing the Gale Palm, hey, go ahead and stop and start doing the water bullet. And, he does it. So now you have every clone doing a separate element. And since Naruto already is decent at the wind style, the Gale Palm, he can work on it some other time, but he's really excited. He wants to get to the lightning style. So Kakashi, okay, he's like, all right, watch this now. He does the hand signs, and lightning ends up going in his hand. Now he's not learning the Chidori or lightning blade. He's not doing that. Because for one, if I'm correct, you have to have the Sharingan to even do that. So yeah, he's not teaching Naruto that. Oh no. Instead, he has a little bit of lightning in his hand, and he says, lightning style, lightning bolt jutsu, which I think that's another low-ranking jutsu. So Naruto should be able to easily do it, since he has access to all the chakra natures. And the lightning bolt jutsu, I believe it's just like a little lightning bolt is in your hand, and I believe that the electricity can leave your hand. It's kind of like Force Lightning from Star Wars. So Naruto does the hand signs, and he goes, lightning style, lightning bolt jutsu, and then the lightning bolt comes on his hand, and he's able to shoot it out of his fingers. So that's basic ninjutsu for every single element. And Kakashi tells Naruto, well, go ahead and start practicing on each one of those. So Naruto's doing it. He's practicing doing it. Maybe having the even having the clones fight each other a little bit. So he'll have himself fighting against his clone doing the earth bracers, and then he'll have the clone using the water bullet go against the clone that's doing the fireball jutsu. And just doing some basic training. And for the most part, he's getting them all down. Kakashi, he's happy about that. This is amazing to think, to think that Naruto could be doing all of this. And then he even has a thought about, I really wish, Minato was here to see this. I mean, he would love to see his own son have access to all of this, which does upset him a little bit that he's not there, but yeah, it's all right. And after that, Naruto's got a decent hang of it. He said he's getting tired, but he tells Kakashi, well, now what? It's like, well, I mean, for the most part, you have a jutsu for every single element. So I will teach you more eventually, but I think it would be better if, you keep practicing those for now. And then he tells Naruto, now for the Earth style, this is something I'm actually, a little particular with. Just because he wants to keep Naruto safe, which is why he was teaching him the Earth Bracers. And he tells him, I'll teach you another Earth style jutsu after you can manage to manifest a little bit more of that Earth armor around your body. Let's say you can have it, the bracers cover your shins. And then after that, I'll end up teaching you another Earth style jutsu. But for now, let's go ahead and take a break. I know you like ramen. And Naruto gets really excited. It's like, wait, ramen? So I get to get some ramen? He's getting excited. Like, yes, Naruto. Let's go ahead and get some ramen. So, Naruto's like, yay, I get to have some ramen. Yeah, he's also tired too. But he dispels the clones. And they start walking. But as they're heading to Ichiraku Ramen, they hear something. They hear, a bunch of laughter and a lot of, not a lot, but they hear a couple voices and they're saying, ha, you got a big forehead. And they're being really, they're being mean. Naruto, he's not gonna like bullies. Kakashi, he hears it, but he looks at Naruto, and Naruto's already running off. Kakashi says, well, Naruto, where you go? You know what? Let's see how... I hope nobody can hear that sound. I hope there's not a sound of that. My phone keeps rotating the camera. Kakashi thinks to himself, let's see how this pans out. Naruto runs over there, and they see three kids picking on somebody. Pointing and laughing at someone's like, yeah, you look at that forehead of yours. And that's not a forehead, that's a 5 head. And this little girl who they're picking on, she's there crying. So, why are y'all being so mean to me? Naruto gets over there. He doesn't like boys. And he says, hey, you leave her alone. Get away from her. And they see Naruto. I'd say their parents have told them, hey, watch out for him. So they see him and say, oh yeah, well what are you gonna do about it, huh? Yeah, we've heard about you, Fox Boy. Which, they don't understand that, Kurama being instilled inside of Naruto. They just hear the name, so they're gonna call him that. And Naruto says, well y'all better leave her alone or I'll make you leave her alone. So they told Naruto, well what are you gonna do? And I'd say just to scare them off, Naruto does a Shadow Clone Jutsu, and he's actually a little irritated that they're picking on somebody. And I'd say at this point, he gets 10 clones. He's actually pulling a little bit of Kurama's chakra. Kurama's seeing this too, and he's... Honestly, I kind of hope the boy kills them, just because it'd be funny. The sage ain't happy. He's like, Kurama, no, don't. And don't you dare influence him with this. Because, Kurama don't like people. But you can't really blame him. So Naruto makes 10 solid clones, and this throws Kakashi off. I thought he could only do 3 clones. And then he thinks, could he be pulling from the fox's chakra? That's not good. Well, I don't see any of the red chakra, though, so let's just watch. And Naruto, at that, he tells him, I said leave her alone. And he's actually about to make a hand sign. And, he does it. He makes a hand sign, but he's not aiming at them. He just wants to scare them. and all the clones say fire style, fireball jutsu, and just make a big fireball. But like I said, he's not aiming at them. He's just, I guess you could say, doing it for show. So he aims it up at the air. And they all see it, and all of them, they're getting scared. It's like, what are you doing? And then tells them, either you all leave her alone, or the next one's going to be aimed at you. And, all three of them are scared, and they take off running. It's like, you monster! And, they take off. And Naruto sees this little girl, she's on the ground crying. A little girl with pink hair. And Naruto comes up to her and says, hey, are you okay? She's crying, and she says, what? Are you going to pick on me too about my forehead? And Naruto says, no, why would I do that? Puts out his hand to her, and he says, I'm sorry they were doing that to you. I don't think there's anything wrong with your forehead. And she looks up with tears in her eyes, and she reaches her hand out to Naruto, and Naruto picks her up. And he says, well, hi, I'm Naruto. Naruto Uzumaki. And I would say she probably has heard about Naruto from her mom and dad. But she's not, he just helped her out. He doesn't seem like a bad person like they said, and she's kind of, I'm Sakura Haruno. And he tells her, well, are you okay? I mean, they were being really mean to you. I'm sorry about that. I can't stand bullies. Because, like I said, Naruto don't like bullies. See, he got picked on plenty and nearly killed. And she's got like a little smile on her face. Says, well, thank you. Thank you, Naruto. And it's nice to meet you. And Naruto looking at her, he actually kind of blushes. Because she's actually kind of cute. Naruto doesn't want to say that. And, he's, like I said, blushing and looking at her. And she goes, well, what? And you're thinking, oh, no, he's going to make fun of me now. And Naruto, the first thing that comes to mind is, I like your hair. And he's not trying to say, oh, well, he doesn't want to say, oh, well, I think you're cute. He's like, I like your hair. And that actually makes her blush. I really hope if any of you are watching, you get that reference. Oh, I hope you get that reference. And she's blushing now. I says, well, thank you, Naruto. And at that point, Naruto, he tells her, well, would you like to come get some ramen with me and my big bro? And she looks and she sees Kakashi. I don't think she would know who Kakashi is, but she sees him, and she's, I guess. Kakashi tells him, Naruto, did you really just volunteer me to buy her some food? Naruto looks, he gets that, that big old smile. It's like, you don't mind, do you? And Kakashi goes, you know what? Alright. I'll go ahead and get both of you some. He doesn't want to upset Naruto. Plus, Naruto's making a friend. That's amazing. That's something that Kakashi really wants. So they all end up going to get something to eat. They're eating that, some ramen. I'm not too sure what Sakura eats. I'd have to figure out what her favorite foods is and stuff, but they're there just having a good time talking. Oh, excuse me if you heard me burp, by the way. And, Sakura says, well, what were you doing out there, Naruto? And he says, oh, I was actually training with my big bro. And he's like, yeah, he was teaching me all kinds of different techniques. Sakura says, training? Like, to be a ninja? Says, I mean, aren't we a little too young to be even thinking about that? We don't start the academy until we're 6. I'm not sure when they start the academy, but I think I think Itachi graduated really early, because I think because I know the Uchiha massacre happened when Sasuke and Naruto were 8, and I believe they were already in the academy, like being trained. They weren't Genin yet, obviously, but they were I think they were at least in the school being trained. And because I'm not sure how old Konohamaru is, but I think because he was being taught by Ebisu, so. I'm just going to say that they start the academy at 6. So that's my little own headcanon. I don't know, it could be true. I don't know, I could be right. But Sakura tells him, we don't start really doing anything until we enter the academy. Why are you already learning? And Naruto says, well, I want to be the best ninja that we've got, so I gotta start training early. And then she says, oh, really? She's interested. So, he seems really nice. He defended her from bullies, scared them away, and she says, that you did a jutsu earlier. I think you said fireball? And he says, oh, yeah. Apparently that was, my big bro says it was not a high-ranking jutsu, but one that not even most genin can do. And I'm not even a genin yet. He's kind of bragging a little bit. Because, it's a little kid. They're going to brag about stuff like that. And she kind of blushes a little bit. It's like, wow, he's really cool. And Kakashi says, yeah, that's true, but Naruto, you're still not very good at it. And Sakura kind of starts chuckling. It's like, oh, gee, thanks, but I'll get better. And I'd say after, they get, they're doing a little bit more small talk. And after that, Naruto says, well, would you like my big brother and I to walk you home? Just in case some bullies, show back up. I could scare him away again. And I'd say, she does. She's okay with it. It's like, well, sure, I wouldn't mind. They end up walking her home. They run into Shikamaru and Choji. It's like, hey, Shikamaru, Choji, how you doing? It's like, hey, Naruto. It's good to see you, buddy. That's Choji talking. And Shikamaru was like, hey, what's up, Naruto? Let me guess. You were training, weren't you? It's like, oh, yeah, you could tell. Am I getting more muscle? Shikamaru says, oh, no. Please. You got a couple scrapes, so I was able to tell. And I'd say they have a decent little conversation. And I'm not sure. I think the girls really hung around each other more. Because I know I said Shikamaru and Choji were cool with Naruto. But I don't think when they were kids they even knew Sakura. Hell, or even well, they might have known Ino just because the whole Ino Shikacho thing. But for the most part, I would say they don't know Sakura. So Naruto introduces her. He's like, hey, these are my friends Choji and Shikamaru. Choji's over there just eating some chips. It's like, oh, it's like, Choji. Shikamaru tells Choji, swallow. He swallows his food, burps, and says, nice to meet you, I'm Choji. And Shikamaru, of course, what a drag. Anyway, enough pleasantries. I'm pretty sure Shikamaru talked like that. He was a smart kid. Like, Shikamaru he's a genius. Even as a kid, he was a genius. The fact that Asuma pretty much could never beat him playing shogi, even though I don't think Asuma was that good at it. Shikamaru's dad did say he wasn't good, but I'm pretty sure he was a kid, so that's probably something he would say. And he tells, well, we're gonna go ahead and go, Naruto. See you and Sakura later. And then Naruto says, hey, Shikamaru, would you and Choji like to train sometime? And Shikamaru being Shikamaru, nah, I'm good. That sounds like a drag, man. And Choji says, do you have any food with you? It's like, well, not really. It's like, yeah, I'll pass. We know how Choji is. He's a big eater. Like me. So, they kind of have a nice little laugh, and then they go their separate ways. They take Sakura home, and, Kakashi knocks on the door. I'd say her mom opens the door, and is like, I'm pretty sure she would know who Kakashi is. A lot of them knew who Kakashi was. And she sees Kakashi, and it's like, oh, hello, Kakashi. Did you walk Sakura home? And she sees Naruto. Now, I don't think she'd be very happy about seeing Naruto there, but that's just because of the way people treated him. The whole nine-tailed fox thing. But I really doubt she's going to say anything, especially with Kakashi being there. And so I'll say, she says, well, y'all walked her home. Would y'all like to come in for a minute? They come in. I would say Sakura tells her mom what happened. I would say, she was being picked on, and then Naruto came and helped her. And I'd say for the most part, her mom's okay with it. It's just the fact that this is the nine-tailed fox boy. I really don't want you hanging around him. That's what she's thinking. She's not saying it, but then she makes a comment. Kakashi, what are you doing with the boy with Naruto? Is it? It's like, yeah, I'm Naruto. Naruto Uzumaki. It's nice to meet you, ma'am. Big old goofy smile he's got. And Kakashi says, yeah, I guess you could say I'm helping look after him. That shocks Sakura's mom. It's like, really? Wait, help? Who else is looking after him? And Naruto says, it's an old pervert. And Kakashi pretty much he smacks Naruto on the back of the head. Naruto, shut up. Don't say that. Sakura's mom's, what? And then Kakashi says, Master Jiraiya. I'm pretty sure they all know who Jiraiya is. So that's like, a bit of a shocker. It's like, Jiraiya? Like the Toad Sage Jiraiya from Mount Miyaboku. It's like, yeah, believe it or not, that's who's training him. Or not training, my bad. That's who's helping take care of him. Well, and help training. It's like, well, why would Master Jiraiya be doing that? Kakashi says, that's honestly a long story, but don't worry about anything. Naruto's a good kid. Naruto, like I said, he's still got that goofy smile. It's like, and I'd say after that, they excuse themselves and they go ahead and head home. And I'll say Sakura's mom actually starts talking to Sakura, and she says, "Now, how did you notice anything weird about Naruto?" I was like, well, "What do you mean? He was being really nice, and he had protected me." So I would say she's gonna okay Sakura to hang out with him, just for the fact that Jiraiya and Kakashi are there. So if anything were to happen, they would be able to set him straight. That's her mind, how her mindset is. Now, she doesn't like it, but he protected her daughter. That's going to mean a lot to a parent. I'm pretty sure Sakura had some pretty decent parents. I think most of them did have some really good parents, especially Shikamaru, his dad. Shikamaru's dad's fucking cool. But anyway, I shouldn't be cussing that much, but So Naruto, he heads home. Him, Kakashi, Jiraiya is awake. I'd say it's probably about a little bit after lunch. I wouldn't say it's dinner time yet, but it's around lunch or after lunch. Jiraiya is like, oh, well, where are you two been? And Naruto says, well, big bro over here was teaching me some new jutsu. New jutsu. It's like, really? What was he teaching you, Naruto? And he explains it, and Jiraiya's, I'd still say he can't really, he's still shocked about it, because like, okay, I understand the whole thing with the sage, but it's still the fact that Naruto can do this. Have access to every single chakra nature, well, the basic chakra natures, and he's not even in the academy. This is great. This is amazing. And then Jiraiya also, like with Kakashi, really wishing that Minato was there, just to see his son. And I would say, Jiraiya with that says, all right, Naruto, I got a question for you. It's like, well, what is it? How good are you with your chakra control? Kakashi is thinking, and he goes, Lord Jiraiya, you're not thinking about what I think you're thinking, are you? It's like, don't worry about it, Kakashi. And Naruto says, well, I think I'm okay at it. He says, all right, come with me. And I'd say we'll say they go to a different room, and Jiraiya pulls out a balloon. Oh yeah. We doing it. And he's not even in the academy yet. And he tells Naruto, you see this balloon? I want you to try to use your chakra and pop that balloon only using your chakra. Naruto says, okay. He gets the balloon in his hand and he tries it. It don't pop. It's not even budging. Yeah, you didn't think I'd give it to him that early, did you? Naruto says, well, why can't I do it? This is impossible. Jiraiya says, no, it ain't. Watch. He gets the balloon and pops it. And Naruto's like, oh, well, that's not fair. How'd you do it? And why are you trying to show me this anyway? What is this supposed to do? And he says, I'll show you. He says, actually, we will show you. You know, he sits down at, let's say, at the dinner table. Kakashi sits down and he says, Kakashi, let's both show him. Because, they both know it. And they both pull out their hands and they form the Rasengan. Naruto's, was like, what is that? That looks so cool. How are you doing that? And Jiraiya tells him, if you want to learn how to do this, you have to have some... Oh, I don't want the light being seen. He says you have to have some pretty good chakra control. That's something that you're going to need to work on. And eventually, you can do this jutsu. But the first thing you have to learn how to do is control your chakra enough to where you can pop that balloon. And he's excited. He's like, well, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it no matter what. And he tries it again, but you gotta remember, he has been training all day, and he even made 10 shadow clones. I'd say the balloon actually starts to move a little bit, and Naruto's like, oh, I'm getting it, and he passes out. He falls back, and he passes out. I'd say Kakashi probably catches him. And Jiraiya says, figured that was going to happen. He's been doing a lot of training, hasn't he, Kakashi? It's like, yeah. I mean, he now knows a jutsu for every single element. Though they are basic, it's the fact that he can still do it. And he even made 10 shadow clones earlier. And Kakashi, Jiraiya's like, really? I thought he could only do 5, and that was in his mindscape. And Kakashi ends up explaining what happened with Sakura, Naruto meeting her, and everything. And I'd say he has like a little grin, thinking, good for him. That's sign of a good ninja. He's already trying to bring peace. I guess Jiraiya just kind of, joking around. And then he says, but still, this kid, he's gonna be mad at me too. He's like, you're about to leave, aren't you, Jiraiya? Master Jiraiya. Yeah, I got some missions I gotta take care of. So you wouldn't mind letting Naruto know for me, would you? And, Jiraiya actually does take off. And Naruto, he's still passed out. At this point, I'd say, because he's tired. And he's asleep. Kakashi go ahead and puts him in bed. And he's back in his mindscape. It's like, hey, I'm back here. And it still looks... the pipes are gone. His mindscape... Excuse me. The pipes are gone. It's nice and bright. And, it looks good. I'd say even the meadow is still there. Like the little training area that Naruto made in the last episode. It's all still there. And he sees the fox. The fox is... I'd say he's asleep. Kurama's probably asleep at this time on that giant bed Naruto made him. And he sees the sage. And the sage tells Naruto, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you, Naruto. It's like, really? It's like, yes. Somebody a shinobi at such a young age, and you have not mastered, but you have learned a jutsu for every element. I couldn't be more proud of you, Naruto. As such, I have a gift for you. Say, oh, well, what is it? Well, I say a gift, but you're not gonna get it yet. It's like, oh, well then how is that a gift? It's like, all right, it's a jutsu, but this particular jutsu, I'm not gonna teach you yet, but I will tell you a little bit about it. Honestly, I think one day it could save your life. It's like, really? Well, what is it? I want to know. He says, not now, Naruto, not yet. I will tell you this. Once you enter the academy and you become a genin, I will teach you this jutsu. And Naruto says, well, can I at least know the name? And he tells him, nope, I'm not going to tell you the name. It's like, oh, well, come on. He says, Naruto. He says, all right. Well, is there anything you can teach me now? And the sage is thinking, and he decides, at the moment, no. I mean, I'd say you do have a good amount of skill, Naruto. More so than even an average genin. I'd say at this point, you are probably a mid to high ranking genin in terms of technique, but not skill. While you're here in your mindscape, you need to train with all those jutsus that you have learned. It's like, oh, well, all right, I'll do that. And he says, all right, well, first off, do your shadow clone jutsu. And Naruto does it, and I'd say this time, 10 clones pop out. It's like, oh, wow, it's the 10 clones. He says, all right, that's good. You're getting a little bit better with that. Go ahead and have, 5 of those clones work on those 5 elemental jutsus that you learned. Just have them training on that. I was like, all right. Now, the other 5 clones, I want you to have them practice chakra control. It's like, oh, you mean like the tree walking and stuff? He says, well, yes, but do that, but focus on, for one, that jutsu that I believe his name was Jiraiya that he was teaching you. Keep focusing on doing that. Like, create a balloon. I mean, you should be able to do that. It is your mind. Naruto does it. He's got a balloon, and he says, all right, just to make sure you're not cheating, I'm going to put a little bit of my chakra in it. I'd say he still has some of his own chakra even in him. Like, yeah, his chakra's combined with Naruto's, but he's putting a little bit of his chakra in it. He says, just to add a little more force, because like I said, this is your mind. You can manipulate it any way you want. I don't need you cheating and popping that balloon earlier than you need to. Those 5 clones are going to work on that just to help with your chakra control. Now you, on the other hand, I want you to meditate, Naruto. It's like, meditate? Why? He says, you need to learn to focus your mind. Relax your mind and just focus. And while you're doing that, you can focus on your chakra as well. I want you to focus on moving your chakra through your body. Starting from your head, the top of your head, and go all the way through your body. Your shoulders, and then go through your arms, back out of your arms up to the shoulders, down to your torso, then to your feet, and then back up. Keep moving that chakra. This is a chakra control exercise. And Naruto's like, oh, well, okay, I guess. But I thought you said the chakra control was what they were doing when it comes to that jutsu. It's like, no, it is for the most part. But even with that, I mean, you can't just stand there and do nothing while all your clones are doing all the work. Yeah, you got me there. I guess I can't. So, Naruto sits down, crosses his legs, and starts meditating. And he's focusing on his chakra. putting it from his head to his eyes to his shoulders and just moving it around all of his body. He even says this is a lot harder than you would think. And considering the fact that it was difficult enough just moving it, down to the feet and everything else, but now he's moving it through his entire body. But this is a good exercise. And the more Naruto's working on his chakra, I'd say it would also increase his chakra reserve, if anything. And it's just better chakra control. And he does so. Eventually, he hears a pop. One of the balloons in his mind popped. Only one. The other ones didn't. Naruto's excited. He's like, oh, well, one of them popped. So yeah, it's true, Naruto. But that was just one. Now, I'm going to add some more of my chakra into the balloons and make it even harder. It's like, well, why are you doing that? He says, I want to make sure you can do this in the real world. So, he does so. I'll try not to sneeze. And Naruto just begins more on his chakra training. 5 clones working on the different jutsus for the elements. Other 5 clones working on the Rasengan. And then Naruto just meditating. After that, there's not really much else for him to do at this point. So, the sage tells him, Naruto, there is something I would like you to do. Consider this a favor. And Naruto says, oh, okay, what is it? He says, do you remember those Uchiha boys that you met? And he goes, you mean Itachi and Sasuke? He says, yes. The young one named Sasuke. After you wake up, ask Kakashi if he could take you around the Uchiha compound and see if you would be allowed to train with Sasuke. It's like, okay, I could do that. And he said, there's a reason for that. Because I believe there's a chance I could talk to Sasuke. He says, what, really? I thought you could only talk to me. He says, well, for one, I never said that. I may be technically a part of you, but there is something special with that specific boy. I said, oh, well, what is it? I want to know. No. I'm not telling you, Naruto. We'll say that's a surprise, too. Eventually, you'll find out. It's like, so 2 surprises, huh? All right. I'm sorry, my throat's kind of itching a little bit. So, for the most part, Naruto's just doing his training. And that's it for this part. Let's say, he ends up stopping his training and actually sleeping. And that's it. I'd say he'll end up, meeting Sasuke eventually, but not yet. That's really it for this part. Thank you for watching. This was What If Naruto Was Raised by the Sage of 6 Paths, Part 3. Thank you guys for watching and, listening. And see you later. And I hope you liked it.